Topher Thomas or Chris Guidi, either's fine.
Yeah, we're gonna go with Topher because that's what we talked about off the air. So how you doing, man? We finally got to do this.
Yeah, I finally got that. Well, thanks for having me. We finally got to do this. We tried to do this all day. Was it yesterday?
Sunday, yeah, no, it was
Sunday, day
Sunday.
before.
It was like, oh, it was brutal,
Yeah, it
brutal,
was
brutal, brutal.
crazy. It was a really long day for me. I actually just got back in time to set up for the podcast, and the internet just wouldn't work out here. Everyone's internet was down for some reason.
Yeah, well, I mean, shit happens, right? And that is how it goes. I'm glad it worked because I've been wanting to talk to you. Like I said, actually, I do owe you a call, so a little bit of a thank you. We were originally going to do this on a Thursday. Personal things happened with me. I've already mentioned them, and he was really gracious enough to let me he understood. So he's like, let's just do this another day. So yeah,
Third
man.
time's a charm.
Yeah, it took three, but we got
This
it.
is
We got it.
23.
Yeah. So, man, what do we want to talk about first? Like, dude, you are an interesting dude. I was looking you up, and you're just like, you've done a lot of stuff, man. So
Yeah, I've been doing stuff for a long time, and I've done quite a bit. I mean, I could talk about any of those things. I I, I,
yeah,
re-
what do you
I
want to talk
recently
about?
just I recently just got back from a wrestling show up in a place called Ione in Northern California for a promotion called TWF.
Oh wow, cool. So
I was
did you? So who'd you wrestle?
I wrestled a guy named Christian Black who's been wrestling up here for a while. So it was an honor to wrestle him. It didn't really go as planned. I was supposed to come out as a surprise special guest and be in the main event, but both my opponent and my tag team partner didn't show up because things beyond anyone's control. We were able to go there and put on a different match, which was fun, but a little disappointing. I didn't get to be in the main event.
Well, I mean, it happened. Like as we can attest to with this show business, man, things just happen all the time. You just the
Yeah.
real you can tell a professional is when shit goes sideways. That's when you can usually tell when things are just like, what's it going to be like? But sounds like you had fun. Did you win? I don't know if you won, so I'm just gonna ask.
Well, it was a draw technically. There
Ah,
was outside interference,
that
and neither was
yeah.
fun. It is pro
So
wrestling. So.
yeah. So I mean, that's what pro wrestling does do, outside interference. Actually, I it's weird because I guess we'll start with wrestling. We'll get the comics eventually. Your comic stuff eventually.
Sweet.
Wrestling's kind of in a renaissance right now. Like the pandemic slowed it down a little bit, but man, there's good wrestling everywhere right now.
Well, right here in California, they have shows. Just in San Jose, there's like 3 a week of
Yeah.
like all these promotions running. And I think because of COVID, a lot of people were able to save up their money or use their stimulus checks. People are just thirsty for outside entertainment, and now a bunch of people are coming in and running shows that weren't there before. Because before COVID, there's running shows. I see a show up here in San Jose once a month, and now it's maybe 3 times a week. I can't even keep up.
Well, you were getting that way anyway. Like okay, so AEW helps GC, but now there's GCW. There's Impact's actually good now. It's something I can't always say about it, but it is a solid show. It is a legitimately solid show. Ring of Honor will come back in some capacity, I am sure, down the road.
Yeah.
And you got WWE, which, whatever you might say about them, they are a juggernaut. Like they really, really
Yeah,
are.
$1 billion company.
Yeah.
They're
So
the Disney of pro wrestling, basically, or Coke.
I don't know. Would you rather be Coke or Disney? Like what would you rather be actually?
I don't know which one is more profitable.
That's point of view, because okay, Disney is definitely the entertainment mogul, but Coke is 2% of the world's drinking consumption on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's probably
So
cheaper to make Coke than it is to make movies.
yeah, big time, but also I mean, I'm not saying Coca-Cola is healthy for you, but Disney is an interesting monster at this point in the ball game. We're not going to insult our
Yeah.
Disney overlords because I may end up working for them someday. But I mean, but it's one of those things you just realize that it's like much like WWE it's gotten so big. There's so many like moving parts to it. It's incredible on one hand that something like that exists.
Well,
Terrifying.
it's
Terrifying a
kind
little
of
bit.
interesting because like Disney's going through what the WWE did like 20 years ago, where Disney's kind of buying up all the studios.
Yes.
They bought like I don't know 6 studios in the last 10 years:
Yep.
Fox, Marvel, Muppets, Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think
Big
more than that.
properties.
But
They're
yeah,
they,
huge
they're,
things.
they're buying the really profitable intellectual properties is what they're doing.
Yeah,
And like on one hand, it's great for those properties are going to be around in perpetuity, at least for the next 20 years or 30 years. I no problem. At the same time, it's like, man, I like that my Star Wars wasn't part of Disney. I like that not. We could definitely talk about the pros and cons of Disney's Star Wars stuff because there's some really good Disney Star Wars stuff and there's some not so good Disney Star Wars stuff,
yeah,
right?
they're doing not as good with Disney as they are doing with Marvel.
Yeah.
I mean, not as good with Star Wars as they're doing with Marvel. Disney, that is.
I've had this conversation in quite a few of my podcasts. Like we talk about like the second trilogy, right? And I think what it ultimately comes down to is they try to serve too many masters. And because they try to serve so many masters, I think they dilute the product. Right? But
Yeah.
that's me. That's my opinion.
Well, I agree. I think they're all over the place. I don't. I think they should just focus on telling a good story instead of trying to like placate the fans and different types of fans. They're not just trying to these fans over here and these fans over there and these people over there and their investors. Got all these investors. They gotta placate all their investors. And I think they should just focus on telling good stories, or at least simple, understandable stories. Because the original Star Wars is actually pretty simple and easy to understand. And in the new Star Wars was the films were all over the place, and then some of the products are better than others. Like they got all these shows now, and
Yeah, the
some are really good,
Mandalorian.
and some are.
The Mandalorian is good. Kenobi is so far. Well, the jury's still out on that one. I enjoyed their the original the first like Star Wars prequel series. Not the series. The movie in between the Force Awakens and Last Jedi. They had a movie in between that was really really good. And I
I
can't
forget
remember
what
what
it's
it's.
called.
Yeah, I forget what it's
I
called.
forget what it's called. I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah, that was good. Solo wasn't as good. I get why they tried it, but it wasn't as good.
Yeah,
And
Solo. It also, I finally saw it, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but it also just wasn't
it
good
it
either.
it,
It was like,
it didn't stand out. That was the thing about it,
yeah,
right? It wasn't
it was just there.
terrible. Yeah, it wasn't terrible, but I mean, how to put this? I mean, like if there's a car crash in front of you and you don't have any investment, you're just gonna film it and move on. Oh, look, a car crash, right? And that's what it was. Whereas, like some Mandalorian's good, Kenobi we'll see. They're doing. I mean, to their credit, I guess here's a question for you. When you get to the point when you do a sequel, isn't sequels at the end of the day just fan service, or do you feel like there's more to it than that?
I mean, I think it depends. I think things like Godfather and Star Wars were meant to almost to be trilogies, or even like the Scream franchise, whether they were meant to be trilogies or not, they were always meta, so they had to do the sequels to be as meta as possible. So some things are just meant to have. See, and obviously the Marvel movies were all meant to be this interconnected, super
Yeah, I'm
long
not. I'm
thing.
not, I'm not doing that again. I'm just not doing that again.
And I agree with you. I remember you said on the previous, or I guess the previous podcast, you were talking about it, and you got your story already. And that's how I was. I invested in the idea of the Infinity Stones, and they wrapped that up. And I don't really need to watch another 20 Marvel movies.
No, I'm
You
still
know,
gonna watch some Marvel
I'll
movies.
watch them, but I'm not going to be like, I got to go to the theater first day every one now. Like,
Well, no, like I said, I am going to probably watch Thor when Thor goes into the theater.
yeah.
That'll be my first movie theater in about 3 years, and so I'm looking forward to that. So
I did see the Doctor Strange film in theaters, and it was pretty good. And I saw the last Spider-Man. I didn't see the other two though.
I want to give the Spider-Man series a chance. When the Spider-Man series initially came out, I was like, I watched the first one. I didn't mind it, but I wasn't enamored with it.
Yeah.
And after Infinity War, I was kind of just done for Marvel for a while. I was like, you know what? I need to take a break from Marvel. All due respect to the people involved, I need to take a break from Marvel. And so I don't think I can give the second one any real go, but I kind of want to do that now. So I'm probably at some point going to suck it up and get to watch all the Spider-Man stuff. It's I because everybody says it's good stuff. Well, I'll watch it and kind of make my own decision on that.
I didn't see
Um,
the second one. I only saw the first and third one. The third one was worth watching.
Yeah, no, everybody likes the third one. I am gonna watch the second one because I am a Mysterio. I like Mysterio as a villain. Like I
Yeah, I
just
always thought he was pretty cool.
yeah. So I like that idea, and I'm gonna watch that. So that's me. I like Thor. When Guardians of the Galaxy comes out again, I'll watch that. And if something really grabs me, I'm in. Yeah, my little guilty pleasure for Marvel movies is Ant-Man. I enjoy the Ant-Man Wasp. I think they're fun because they're heist movies. Like that's what they really are.
Yeah.
They're secretly heist movies, and I enjoy a fun little heist movie every so often. And if nothing else, I just love the fact that they get the one guy to voice how he met these guys, and they all act in his talk in his voice, and it's hilarious, and I love it. So,
You know, the other
right.
good thing about the Ant-Man is you can watch those without watching the other Marvel movies for the
Yeah,
most part.
exactly. Well, no,
They kind of
yeah,
stand alone.
that's the whole thing, right? I don't really need to watch a another thing. I like Thor. I enjoy the Thor franchise. I'm kind of curious what they're going to do, how far they're going to go with the female Thor concept. I really enjoyed the comic of it. I thought that especially the end was really powerful. So I'm hoping they're true to that, but we'll see when it comes out. But that's
Well,
me.
you know,
Like,
one of the things I like about the Thor comics, they really didn't do in the movies because they use like the kind of ultimate version of Thor. Because in the comic books, he was originally Dr. Donald Blake, and
yep,
he had the stick, and he'd slam it on the ground, and he'd turn into Thor. He's kind of like He-Man before
yep,
He-Man. And I always thought that was cool. And they had a couple other guys become Thor afterwards. If you were worthy enough to carry the hammer, you could gain Thor's powers. And they
yes,
mentioned that in the films, but we don't really see that. Where in the comic books, you had a few other guys who were Thor or Thunderstrike or Beta Ray Bill, and I
yeah.
always liked that. He was almost like Green Lantern, or He Man, where if you got this weapon, you could become this hero.
If you could wield it,
Yeah, you could wield it. If you were a good guy.
yeah. I mean, Captain America kind of got a chance to
Captain
wield the
America had it.
hammer. Yeah, which I thought I knew that was coming because when he lifted the hammer in the second Avengers, he was like, oh shit, he can lift the damn
Yeah,
thing, right?
I think
So
the Vision wielded it for a moment, right?
yeah, but the Vision kind of cheated. That's the whole thing.
Oh,
Like
is that what I thought he did?
yeah, he kind of cheated. Like he did right. So, but Thor, no, I enjoy that franchise. I think Ragnarok gave it a very cool life, and I really like say what you will about the Avengers movies. Fat Thor was awesome. Like it was
Yeah,
awesome to see that character arc with him, and and that's a credit to the actor too. Like he did a really good job with the role, and
well,
he's
he really
having fun
brought him
with
to life.
yeah, and he's having fun with it. Otherwise, he wouldn't still be there. Like he doesn't have to be there anymore, but he's
Yeah.
having fun. You can tell he's having fun with it. Um, so we're getting to see that, and that's kind of cool. My whole yeah, like I said, but again, I'm not amped up for Avengers. I'm not amped up for Eternals. I'm not amped up for a lot of the franchises. Some of them are like, you know what? I don't need to see them, and that's cool. Like they're not for me. That's
Are
where
they
I'm
going to
at.
do another Avengers, or is it like they're done with
Eventually,
the
I would
Avengers?
imagine they would because like they're going to like okay. So if they have the possibility, like they could always do Secret Invasion. I think there's
Yeah,
definitely a possibility for that now. I think that'd be a pretty cool way to follow up Thanos. I mean, you're not going to make a bigger bad guy than Thanos, but you might be able to make a more insidious bad guy than Thanos.
yeah,
And also they kind of blew it with Ultron, so I don't want to see an Ultron show up again. So, um,
yeah. I didn't like what they did with Ultron. I thought that was the weakest of the three movies or
oh yeah,
four movies.
absolutely. No, absolutely. It was by far the weakest.
Yeah, it's kind of not a very interesting villain, and
Which he really should be because it's Ultron.
yeah,
But
I
yeah,
was excited because I really like the actor. Can't think of his name right now, but he's from Blacklist. He's a pretty good actor. Is that the name of the show? Is Blacklist?
I don't know.
Black?
Dude,
Uh,
you're talking to the
can't think of his name.
You're talking to like the least coolest person when it comes to watching television right now. Like seriously, I have Amazon Prime. I might go watch The Wheel of Time and I might go watch The Boys because I haven't seen either. Now here's the thing: The Boys intrigues me. I actually met Garth Ennis about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I met Garth. Yeah, I met him. He's a really really laid back kind of guy. He's a really really laid back dude, and I enjoyed his run in The Boys. Happy for his success. He's doing movies a little bit more now. That was what he was there for in Phoenix when I was there. He was doing like a movie thing, and no, it was just really really cool to. It was really cool to meet him, and yeah, no, so I like The Boys. I enjoyed it when it came out as a comic. I'm enjoying what I've seen from the show. It looks like they were very true to the spirit of it at the very least, which is good. So I might watch that, but I very rarely watch television anymore. It just doesn't appeal to me at all.
That's basically the only thing I'm watching right now is The Boys. It's pretty good. I'd finished Picard because I just watch anything to do with Star Trek. But The Boys is pretty good. I didn't see the last one, the one that just came out. I was actually watching a little bit earlier before
Is that the is that hero is that the hero gasm one?
I only watched a few first 5 minutes, but I assume that it is because that's the
Is that
thing
the
that's
title of the
coming out.
episode?
I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
because that's the one where I'm like, okay, let's see what they're really gonna do with this because that is a gnarly story,
I
right?
actually like the show better than the comic. I thought the comic was good, but it wouldn't have worked because they made some changes. I don't know how much you've seen of The Boys, but they made some
I
changes.
They did. No. Okay, so here's the difference, right? The Boys, the comic, deals with comic book culture a lot.
Yeah,
That does not translate very well on television. But what he's really talking about is the celebrity culture. So what the Boys television show did is it took that to the next level.
yeah,
It's not about comics, it's about celebrity, it's about status, it's about, and that's a big part of the underpinnings of the show. It still has a lot of stuff that's true to the Boys. For example, the the larger than light, like Homelander being such a prick, is very true to the comic. I like the relationship Butcher has with Huey. From what I can tell, is very close. Although the actor looks very different than what he does in the comic.
yeah.
Starlight's pretty accurate, all things considered. Um, it's they
The,
did,
the actor who plays his dad was who they used for references
yeah,
for the comic book, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. So they so they're very true to the spirit of the show. But what they realized was the modern sensibility of it is we as a culture become disenfranchised with pretty much everything, and justifiably so at this point in the ball game. So let's make this like how this you probably would see it. And again, some really good acting. I've seen some clips here and there. It looks like a very fun, amazing show. Great actors. I might watch it because again, I was a big fan of the comic book. My only hope, and this I'm not spoiling anything, the final comic book story, I hope is the final season. Because
yeah,
that was an amazing um it encapsulated Butcher's and Huey's relationship so perfectly. And in an odd way, even though Butcher is a freaking, I'm not going to spoil too much. Butcher's the fucking monster in that last arc. He is a monster. But oddly, when you're done reading that, you can kind of smile because you understand, and he's not a monster like Homelander. He has some of the similarities to him. He's not a monster like Homelander. He's a different kind of monster, and still a human one. All at the end of the day,
yeah.
which I think is that's the big difference between the two of them. And that's the thing. I really dug that. And again, I'm not spoiling anything. I'm not going to say anything other than it perfectly encapsulates. I hope they keep it. It's a great way to finish the series. If they decide to do it, because I feel like based on what I've seen of the show's got maybe 2 or 3 really good seasons left in it. So I think Homelander's going down this season. They're gonna have to put him down somehow, some way
Yeah.
in this season, which will be interesting because then it'll be interesting to see where they go from there. Because I do think there's more story to tell before they get to that last story. But we'll see how they do that. If they do it, like there's a lot they can do there, and
So I don't know if this is true, but I heard they're only planning to do 5 seasons, and then they're going to do a spin-off featuring the X-Men pastiche from the comic.
Yeah, no, that you know what? That would be a good 5-year show. Like as 5 years, it would be a great 5-year show. It shouldn't go beyond that. It does lose. It does lose. But like I said, what I hope is the last story arc in the comic is the last season of The Boys. It actually fits perfectly. But we'll see. Right?
Yeah, you don't want those things going on too long because they become a soap opera, like Heroes and a few other those superhero-based shows back in the day.
Well,
they just had 3 or 4 seasons; it would have been great, but they go on for like 8 seasons, 9 seasons, 10, like Lost, and it's like, well, you probably lost most of your audience already at this point, and you should have just stuck with the original story,
Well,
so you don't want The Boys going on 20 seasons.
See, okay, so this is a hard thing, right? This is the thing. Like you're a creative dude. Your creation now is making you stupid piles of money. Like I mean, stupid. Right. And you're like, okay, I want this to be art. But now they're going to we'll even give you bigger piles of money if you keep it going. Right.
Well, I think that's why they got the spin-offs coming in.
No. That's what they're doing here. But I mean, we're talking about Heroes. We're talking about Lost. Talking about these other shows. Right. You have to think about that, right? If suddenly you got this big hit and you're like, oh shit, it hit. And the studio's like, we really like your show. Here's a big giant pile of money to continue it. But I only got like 5 seasons. Well, we want you to go another 2. Well, fuck. But you got a giant pile of money sitting there. And I cannot fault anybody for going, you know what? I can take this giant pile of money, and I can.
I think we would all take that giant pile of money and keep it going.
Not everybody does, but you can understand why they do it, right?
Of course,
right? That's the thing, right? You can understand that. So if you can understand that, it's like I've gotten older / why. Like, look. Let's be honest. I think, like, you want to talk about a television show that should have been shot and put to pasture a long time ago? That's The Simpsons. Let's be honest. That show should be done. But I can't
use that as an example. That's been on for what? The Simpsons, right? They've been on for almost 40 years, 38 years.
It's 35? Like almost 35 years. It's been around nearly as long as I've been alive. That is a very frightening thing. Here's the thing. I can't blame Mac running on one hand. Fox keeps filing up the money. I can't blame
Disney.
Yeah. So
Disney owns them now, so now it's going to go on for another 20 years.
Or until Matt dies and Dan Castellano dies and all these guys die. But right. But that's the thing, right? You got this concept, and you're getting piles of money to do it. Like, are you gonna say no to that? I'm not gonna say. Like, it's a hard thing. And the thing is, he got to kind of have his cake and tell it too, because Futurama is still actually kind of funny. So you want to actually watch a funny show, you can go watch that. And Simpsons kind of pays for that. So I can't really fault him. Now, from a business standpoint. From a creative standpoint, I don't know if I would have the fortitude. There comes a point too, where it's like when's like you have like how much more can you get at this? Like what else can you do? But who am I to argue? You're getting paid. I'm not. So fuck it. What do I know? Right. So,
But animation does have an advantage in the sense that the characters don't age.
No, they don't age as quickly. And they don't age as quickly for sure.
In like 10 years, the guy playing Butcher will be like 65 or something.
65 or 105.
I think so. I think he's the guy who plays Butcher. It's Carl Urban. I think he's in his 50s already.
Yeah. Looks good.
So in another 10 years, he's going to be 60. Mm-hmm. So it can't really go on that long.
No, that's the thing about live action, right? There's a finite timeline, right?
Whereas cartoons, you can just keep it forever.
Well, or at least longer, right? Although then
Yeah.
again, there's something to be said about, again, every show has. The Simpsons would benefit greatly from time away. They would actually benefit, I think, from a few years not then coming out. I think they would benefit because
Yeah.
if they did come back, it would almost feel brand new again, which I think is actually they could use that. But
Which happened with Futurama, and Futurama got a little resurgence for a while, where it was actually more popular than originally. And same thing with Family Guy. Family Guy was on, got canceled, I think, for 2 years. They put it reruns on Comedy Central, and then they played it back. They put it back on Fox, and everyone was super into Family Guy, but they weren't really as much into it in the original run until it came back a
yeah,
second run. That's like in wrestling when the guy takes a stupid gimmick and then comes back with his original gimmick.
Yeah. Think about it like this, right? Okay, you're talking about pro wrestling. So like look at the Undertaker, okay? The Undertaker was the dead guy. And then for about
Yeah.
4 or 5 years, he was this biker dude. And then he comes back to the dead guy and he's more popular with the dead guy than he was before.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? There's something to be said about letting a character rest. Although the Undertaker probably wrestled. That's too long, but that's okay.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Right. But that's the thing. But that's the thing, right? Like if you're looking at a character in a franchise from an art standpoint, right? It's good to give it a little breathing room. Even from a business standpoint, it's good. However, it's very hard to argue. Like if you're getting millions of dollars to make something, or billions of dollars in some of these cases. I'm a whore. I'm not right. You know, that's just.
Well, I read somewhere that Disney will rest some of its franchises. They'll just be like, okay, we're going to move away from this for a while and bring it back in 10 years because it'll be more popular again, pop into the nostalgia.
Well, there's like they used to, so.
They used to have the vault. Remember that? They used to put the movies in the vault.
Yes,
like, oh, you can't get the movie anymore. It's in the vault.
Now for a while, anyway, right?
Yeah.
It's funny. I went to a pawn shop the other day because I was looking for like a Steam controller for Steam, and like an Xbox 360 controller is what I was looking for. And I ended up how did I put this? I ended up I saw all these old Disney stuff. I remember that shit when I was a kid, right? Yeah. It's like it's all there now, right? And like so we live in a weird, like some of that stuff. I remember when back in the day was worth stupid amounts of money. Now, well, it depends on still. Some of them still are, but not to the degree they once were. So it's like I found them in a pawn shop of all places. Right?
Yeah. Well, I hear the VHS tapes are worth a lot because they would put them in the vault.
Yeah, no, VHS.
There's a limited amount of these VHS tapes out there.
Or even like just this will date me. The betas. If you have any of the beta tapes, they're actually worth a ridiculous pile of money because
go through my garage and see if I got any. I probably do.
Yes, back in the days, that's right. And for those of you too young to remember, it's okay. Beta was another VCR model. The tapes were better than the VHS tapes. They were way better. Yeah,
because they actually came out afterwards, but I think they were more commercially available first.
Yes.
They just didn't pick up. They were kind of like Laserdisc, where Laserdisc kind of came out and they were better than VHS, but no one wanted the laser. I got a bunch of those. Laserdiscs, and then they got replaced by DVDs pretty quickly.
Yeah, so I mean, that's just it, right? Like the VHS outlasted those things, partly because of content, but also just because. Yeah. But yeah, so for me, I remember this is back in the days when you could record stuff, folks. Like the beta tapes, you could record like 3 movies on one, and whereas the VHS, you could do like 1.5. I would say like they sucked in comparisons. Like the betas were too good; they were way too good. For the technology was good, the content not so much, but the technology was really good. So. All right, that's me yelling at clouds for the moment. But I mean but no, it's weird. Like that is such a hard balance because again, if you're trying to make money with your properties, like you're trying to do that with your comic right now.
Yeah.
Right. You want it to become a hit, but that might mean that you might run the damn thing to the ground and still run it well past that point because it makes you money.
Yeah, and someone might run it past you being dead.
Yes, exactly. So,
like Batman and Superman or Spider-Man now.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I mean, at least Stan got some love out of that. I mean, Superman's creators did not get enough love, nor did Batman's really. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
Batman's creators didn't really get much out of it either, and of course Superman's creators were screwed so bad that it's a whole thing. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, DC Comics unfortunately has a huge history of that. Unfortunately, Marvel does too, although not to quite the same extent. It's still not great. I
yeah,
mean, but it's an interesting age because now it's about like as a creative, your work has so many areas it can go into and make money. And I think as a creator, it's behooves. Okay, you wrestle, right? And because you wrestle, you have a character you portray, right?
yes.
Right, you have a character you portray. By the way, are you heel or babyface?
It depends on which promotion I'm being booked at and which gimmick I'm playing. Sometimes I'm Topher Thomas, and sometimes I'm the evil clown character.
Okay, so
So the
I'm
clown
speaking.
character is usually a heel, and Topher's usually a face. But in Mexico, clowns are kind of thought of more highly than they are in America. So clowns are usually face.
Okay,
It's a
so
weird. It's a different
yeah,
different
yeah,
culture.
yeah, okay. So
It just depends
most
on where I'm at.
so what are you more comfortable with? Actually, we'll just go with that. What are you more comfortable with, heel or baby?
I like being the bad guy. You can work the crowd more. You can get away with a lot more. It's more fun. You can say shit you can't say as a face. Do
Yeah.
stuff you can't do. It's definitely more fun. And then of course the character, which is the clown character, you can do a lot more with that than you could when he's face. I
Oh
can
yeah.
be really creepy and do creepy voices and harass the fucking fans. I can cuss. Can I cuss?
Yeah. You can cuss. Dude, I
Harass
have
the
two. I
fans.
only
Do
have
all kinds of crazy stuff.
I only have two rules on this show. Don't be a bigot, and if you're going to be a dick, be an entertaining one. That's the only. Those
All
are
right.
the only two. Those are the only two rules I have. So, um, I look at it. I look at it like this. Like, okay, so wrestling. There's your product in the ring, whatever that is, heel, baby, face. There's your merchandise, t-shirts, DVDs, whatever it is yourself,
Action figures.
action figures, like you just whatever you can think of, right? Then
Yes.
there's the possibility of taking your character, putting it in a comic book or a story or a movie or a short, or like there's so many ways you can do that,
Yes.
right? So now I just listed off the top of my head, right, about 7 different ways your intellectual property can make you money. Now, maybe not a ton of money, but then again, I've seen ProWrestlingTees.com. Wrestlers can make a pretty decent living selling a t-shirt these days.
Well, here's the thing about wrestling business, which I let everyone in on a secret. It's like being in a band. You don't make your money off of performing or ticket sales. You make your money off of merch. The more merch, the cooler and more merch you have, the more money you're going to make. You need to have T-shirts. You need to have stickers. You need to have trading cards. Action figures. I have an action figure. That's something that's more expensive to make, so harder to sell. But shirts are cheap to make. You can do one color. Stickers, they're cheap to make. I was getting them made in China for 5 cents a piece, and selling them for $3, $4. I would come away from shows. I go to a show and they pay. Sometimes I wouldn't even pay you. As soon as in wrestling, you show up, you think you're gonna get paid, and you get a hot dog and a handshake. But I'd come away with $200, $300 in merch that I sold. You
Yeah.
know, I
Wait,
sell a bunch of stickers, and the profit is crazy to the roof because, like I said, I was having the stickers made in China at the time for 5 cents a piece, but I was selling for anywhere $2 to $5. A big sticker like that, you can sell
yeah,
for $5.
business, folks. That's just how it works, right? So,
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that. They think it's the performance. I have to sell tickets to this show. That's just covering your venue. And also, if you're a performer, like in a band or a wrestler or a comedian, you're not getting a cut from the tickets usually, unless you're a big star. It's all going to the venue and the promoter. So you need to find a way to make money for yourself. Because
yeah,
if you do it the other way, you're just making money for the promoter. You're just making money for the venue. You got to make money for yourself, and the way to do that is with merchandise, which comic books learned to learn a long time ago. They learned that before anyone else. They were like, we can make toys, we can make comic books, we can make movies, and George Lucas, was probably the best guy doing that. Even though he started with movies, but he was like, I can make this into a comic book. I can make this into a toy before he even
oh yeah.
released the movie.
Well, no, that's just it. Like his stuff was appealing, and that's where Star Wars became this juggernaut, right? I
Yeah,
remember, I remember back in my day again, yelling at clouds. the original, like we were alive when the original Star Wars was still running its course in the theaters. Well, not the first one for me, but the second and the third one, I was a kid. I still remember the Fruity Pebbles and the Star Wars as a toy inside the Fruity Pebbles, right, way back in the day. That was advertising. They didn't give a shit
Yeah,
about it. That was advertising. It made people want to see the movie more because you suddenly get Luke Skywalker or a Darth Vader or like an R2D2 or a C3PO in your cereal box. It's like, holy shit, this is so cool. Where does this come from? Then you see the Star
yeah,
Wars thing, you're like, wow, and then that's it. You're hooked, and that's just the way it goes, right? And lowest, like again, you want people to be aware of your product, however you're going to make people aware of your product. Like with wrestling, like it's but even in comics, the same thing. It's merch. You're gonna
yeah,
build an audience. You're gonna build an audience, and it's not just the one way you tell the story. It's a whole bunch of different ways you tell the story.
yeah.
Right, right.
Fan interaction. The fans get immersed in your world,
That's right.
immersed in your product because they got toys, they got comic books, they got a movie, they got podcasts,
That's right.
and it's a cool thing to do actually. I mean, if you're like us and we grew up in the 80s, that was like the whole 80s was like everything was merch. It's like,
Oh yeah, no, but again, it's still that way now. It's just
yeah,
the difference today between today and then was that so back again back in our days, ladies and gentlemen, when we were I remember I still have my grandmother still has an old remember those old black and white TVs. We still got one, and it still like watches like 3 or 4 channels from Detroit. Like that was like how we used to watch television way back in the day. You'd have this one channel, no cable, and you'd watch all this shit. And this is all, and we all get the same bombarded with the same crap. Today we have the internet.
yeah,
Right. So here's the difference. I like certain cool shit. You like certain cool shit. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go towards our cool shit because that's just the way it is. I have the freedom. I can bypass all this other bullshit I don't want to see. I can go see. I can go just watch what I particularly want. So on the one hand, it's right. So what's happened is fans have decentralized and have clustered into the shit they like. So, for example, I have the Alice in Wonderland Greek mythology story, right? Do you know
yes,
where I'm? Do you know where I'm targeting? I'm targeting theaters, like theater kids. I'm targeting like those
yeah,
markets. Why? Because those kind of markets will more likely be invested in that story. Obviously, Alice in Wonderland fans, Greek mythology, but again, theater. That's where I'm going to be launching my stuff. That's where I'm going to be doing my stuff because that's where it makes sense for me to do it. Notice I did not say a bookstore. That doesn't mean I won't do a bookstore, but it's not necessarily where I'm going to find my audience,
yeah,
right? Right. And that's the thing. Like when you create something, folks, whatever it is, right? Who's going to like this shit? Because chances are, what every creative should ask themselves is, what cool shit did I like that inspired this? Because
yeah, exactly.
the chances are that same people will like your shit because that's probably what inspired this. Unless it's a complete U-turn, like maybe for example, like you have a love of zombies and for some reason they wrote an erotic romance. I don't know, right. I
I've
don't know.
seen that though, and I've seen people be fans of that weird stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah. I know.
There's a niche,
Again, there's something for everybody, right?
there's a niche for everybody, and you can reach that niche now because you have the internet. But it's kind of a double-edged sword because now all the fans are spread out.
Yes.
But if you're independent like us, um, it's kind of a boon because now you're getting fans you wouldn't have gotten in the 80s and 90s because you got the internet. You can go directly to your fans. I mean, I sell most of my comic books directly to people that
Yeah.
that are fans of whatever thing I'm putting out. And versus in the old days, I'd have to go to the comic book store and I'd have to go to the bookstores. But now I probably sell just as many books, just selling them, making an Amazon page or an eBay page or something.
Well, I don't know if as
No, not
many,
just as many.
but
Well, because you as an independent, you were probably not selling any books. You were probably, because a lot of people now wouldn't even have the chance to sell books back in the 80s and 90s. They wouldn't be able to reach their fan base because you wouldn't where are the people into this weird thing I've come up with. You don't know where they're at because there's no internet. you know?
yeah, well, that's just it. That was the thing that was harder back in the day.
Yeah,
It wasn't impossible, but you definitely had to think. It's easier to advertise today. It's
Yeah, way
easier,
easier.
but it's. I mean, it doesn't. But here's the thing, like, so me and you are advertising at the same time, and we got about 10,000 other people advertising at the same time. How the hell do you stand out, bro? And I have mentioned this many a time. The biggest marketing genius I've ever seen from pro wrestling was the Macho Man, Randy Savage,
Yeah.
of all of them,
I should say,
because
ooh, yeah.
but he stood out. You got like I like he he talked differently, he looked different, he acted different, but he was also true to himself.
Yeah.
He found a way to stand out that, again, you can argue Hogan, you can argue Austin, but I think people looking back go, you know what? We missed the boat. Savage was probably the coolest motherfucker in the wrestling business at one point.
Well, Savage, other than Hogan, I think gained the most mainstream success because almost every one of us remember him from the Slim Jim commercials. If you don't
Yeah,
remember pro
exactly.
wrestling, or from Spider-Man, he was in the opening of Spider-Man. I'll get you, little Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man
Yeah,
movie.
exactly. No, but that's just it, right? He was able to use his personality to bring people, to talk people from leaving the comfort of their own homes and go to arena and pay to watch him, you know, with all due respect, do a choreographic fight, right? Not even like a real physical. I'm not saying it isn't real. I'm not saying the
Yeah,
physicality isn't real, but there's a winner. There's a predetermined winner and loser. I say
of
that
course.
generally because again, most today the secret's out. Now back in the day, you would have like threatened to kick my ass and
Well,
probably
yeah,
right.
back in again the internet, right? So now you got
Yeah,
the internet, so now everyone knows. People could see the notes the wrestlers took back in the 80s and 90s. We're gonna do this move, we're gonna do that move. And they're on the internet, behind the scenes stuff. The writers do interviews for wrestling now. They're gonna do an interview, and it's like in the 80s and 90s and the 70s, that was unheard of. They would never. But the
yeah.
internet leaked all that stuff out there, so now everyone knows the terminology. Everyone knows kayfabe. Everyone knows.
But
Kayfabe is basically dead now.
so, but does that? But does that? Well, yeah, no. See, I think in one sense, it's easier to fool people today than it was back then. In one way, it's easier because you can use their cynicism against them.
Yeah,
That's the one thing about today. Oh, you think you know what's coming, huh? Okay, let's find out if
yeah.
you really do. And
It's kind of like
sometimes,
with MGF recently. Was that his name? MJF?
yes, the MJF thing, right?
Yeah, the whole MGF thing, and people were like, "It's real."
Is it?
I don't know. I don't think it is, but
No, at this point, I don't really think it is either. But it's interesting,
but it got
right?
people's attention. People thought it was real. People were like, "This is real." Da da da. And same thing with NWO though, and that was a long time ago, but the internet was around and people already kind of knew wrestling was fake. But when the NWO came out, people were like, "Oh, this shit's real." Man,
Well,
Hogan and Nash and and
be, be,
and
because okay, so back in the day, right? This is about how they fooled people. They gave it a sense of reality. All the original NWO members were old WWF guys. So it
yeah,
looked like the WWF was invading WCW without acts. They never said it, but
yeah.
you
They never
felt
said it.
that. They never actually said it, but you felt it.
Yeah, you're like, this
Right.
is the WWF. They're coming here. They're fucking up guys for no reason.
And then
Just do it.
and then there's the other one, which was the screw job in WWF. Vince McMahon like did that finish with Bret Hart. He really was an
Yeah,
asshole. And now Austin had the perfect guy that you really knew was an asshole to play off of. Right. And that's there's a little bit of reality to it. Like you can,
yeah, because the screw job is usually thought to have been a shoot. Now,
yeah,
most people don't think it was a work. I
yeah,
think it was a work, but only Bret Hart and Vince McMahon were in on it. That's
yeah.
my personal opinion.
Okay, that's
But
fair.
most people won't agree with that.
Well, but again, the important thing, it doesn't really matter if it was or wasn't at this point. Here's what
Yeah,
matters.
people thought it was.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
matters. If you
and they argue
can
about
make,
it still. So
oh yeah. So
was that real?
here's
Was it not?
yeah, but here's the thing. Right? Here's the thing. If you can make someone believe there's something real there, now it's much more interesting because real people are always interesting, right? Right?
Yeah,
And so again, going back to what MJF today, he was like everybody knows, quote unquote, knows he's unhappy with his current deal in AEW. Now, I think that probably got smoothed over a little bit. We'll see in the weeks to come. But it doesn't matter what I think. The fact of the matter is that part's real. And it's
Yeah,
intriguing.
there's enough realism in it that it made everything else work.
Yeah. So that's it. And so in one sense, this is the thing about today, I think, with people in general. If you can make them believe a part of it's real, they'll come with you the whole way. They will come with you the whole way. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be wrestling. It can be any kind of story you want. If you can feel a real thing there, you will go along for the ride. It doesn't matter, right? That's the thing. You can get people to buy an idea. And if you get people you can still do it. And once you have them, but once they got the idea, they're bought, they're in. You can't change their mind. You can't change their mind. You can't. If you try to go after somebody that believes in an idea strong enough, they will resist you to the bitter end because they've bought into it. That's just the way it is.
Oh yeah, right? And there's still people who think, there's fans who think wrestling's real. It's all real to them.
Yeah.
In areas, you'd be surprised.
Yeah. Well, that's just it, right? There is a reality to this, and that
they've invested so much of their emotions into it that they can't accept that it's not real, So that's good storytelling. That's what you want to do.
Well, yeah, that's it. That's what it comes down to. And so when we're talking storytelling, in one way, it's easier now. Our cynicism makes it that when we see that kernel of truth, we jump into it. Because in a world where everything doesn't feel real, that little bit of reality is what we crave more than anything else. So in one way, it's easier to work them now than it was back then, because you don't need it to be all real. You just need a little reality in there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I try to do that when we're doing our shows. Like, we got a show, we just started a TV show. We're filming a pilot, and it's kind of more like Heels, in the sense that it's scripted. When I say scripted, I mean more than regular wrestling. I mean, it's going to be filmed like a movie, like Heels or like Glow. And what's we're trying to do? We're trying to put a lot of realism in it, and emotional realism and controversy, because controversy equals cash, even in this day and age. Controversy keeps people's eyes on you, but a little bit of realism does too. You put realism in there, and people are going to pay attention. I think people like Batman. Batman, he's real. He's the most popular superhero because we could believe he could exist. Oh, he's just a rich guy.
Well, Batman's interesting to me because I think it's not because he's realer. I think it's because Batman, because of his concept, you can put him anywhere and he fits. It doesn't matter.
I agree with that too.
Yeah, right.
You can drop him down anywhere. He's like G.I. Joe.
Yeah. Well, you can put him in outer space. You can tell a space Batman story.
Well, I mean G.I. Joe. I mean the toy, because the toy you could put any suit on him. The one from the '60s. Yeah. You can make him like an astronaut. You can make him a fighter pilot. You can make him whatever you wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Batman's kind of like that.
No, Batman, you can totally do that with, right? You can totally do that with. You make Batman the silliest thing in the world. Look at Adam West.
Adam West or the Harley Quinn show.
Yeah. You can make him silly as hell, and it works. In fact,
or Brave and the Bold show. The Brave and the Bold show.
Actually, my favorite Batman from television for the last 5 years has been Lego Batman from the Lego movie, because I think that's hilarious how they did that Batman.
I love the Lego Batman movie. I thought it was the most accurate Batman because it was so meta. It was like a Batman movie about Batman, but it was like about the franchise.
Yeah,
so he's like celebrating the history of Batman, and they're referencing stuff from all the movies and comics and stuff.
Well, I actually even liked him in just the Lego movie because he's the boyfriend.
The jerk boyfriend.
It's like, why are you the boyfriend? I'm Batman, and it's just like. That's that. All right, I like it's almost a meme, right? Because it's just like, okay, this is hilarious, but it's so true, right? You have this guy who may or may not be, he's not real. I mean, he's a rich dude with toys that beats up vigilantes at night because he's got anger issues. I mean, that's not. But at the same time, because he is who he is, you can do all kinds of strange and crazy shit with him. My favorite comic book Batman stuff has been the Batman Ninja Turtle stuff, because that shit's awesome. Like, that is they've got that. Those two franchises go together so well. It's not. No. It's unbelievable how well they go together. And my personal favorite. So I have a Fonda Lee. I don't know if you know who author Fonda Lee is. She's a
No,
big. She's a big. She has a series called Jade City, and she's talking about like she has a. Me and her both have share a love of Ninja Turtles. I actually introduced her to Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the comic. She's like, wait, there's. Then I just gave her the link, and I'm just like, I know they took her money. I know it did. I know deep down. It's just like, wait, there's a Batman Ninja Turtles series. Hell yeah, there is. Right?
and they even made it into a animated movie.
Yeah, because
It
it's
was an animated
fun.
movie.
Yeah, because it's fun. That's
Yeah,
the thing, right? Right. That's what like if you're gonna do a crossover with intellectual properties, that's the way to do it. It's just two franchises having a freaking blast. I like what the Turtles do to Batman. It makes him he's a little less serious. And I mean that in like a good way. He's a little bit more, he's still Batman, he's still a badass, but he's a little less serious. He's a little bit more like I'm the bigger brother to these guys. It's an amusing thing. Also, I love Damien's relationship with the Turtles too. That's funny as well. But and that's just it. And I love like they've done 3 comic series. My favorite one is the first one, but the other 2 are still really good. They actually did a homage to Crisis on Infinite Earths on the last one.
I
Krang and
didn't see the last one. I saw the first series they put out, and I saw the
yeah,
animated
so
film.
there's 2 sequels. The second one's really good. It's Donatello because he's the quote unquote the weakest turtle in terms of fighting, dealing with that in a very interesting way, dealing with Batman's Venom concept because Bane's the villain in that one. Bane is
Yeah,
one of the villains in that one, right? So you got that, but the third one's my favorite. They actually homage Crisis on Infinite Earths. Krang and the Technojoan and the Anti-Monitor get together, and oh my god, it is silly batshit goodness. But it's also like it's such a cool ending because they explore what makes Batman and the Turtles like it's about family, and that's ultimately actually what Batman, ironically, and the Turtles have in common. Batman
yeah,
has a family. He has a family. He has Robins. He has Batgirl. He has Alfred. He has this family he's crafted around
yeah. He's got like a
himself.
whole team. You always think of Batman being a loner, but that's never really true in the comics because he's got Alfred, Commissioner Gordon, Robin, Batgirl, other
Yeah.
Robins, and other Batgirls, and other Batmen even in the comics.
Yeah.
It's like
Exactly.
he's got all these guys around him.
No. Exactly. So you got that guy right, and then, so in that story, they're reconnecting their identities together. Like, and that's part of the crisis. They've scattered them. Batman making peace with himself, making peace with who he is and his family. And it ends in such a way where it's like they don't ever need to do another one. But it was such like it was probably it was literally the best Batman story I've read in years. And it's just like, and it's with the Ninja Turtles. It's like, wow, really,
Well,
really
I'll have to
cool
pick up
shit.
the other two series because I only picked up the first one. And I'll
Yeah,
pick up the other
yeah.
two.
You pick up the other 2 and be like, oh, shut up and take my money. Just take my
I
fucking money.
definitely enjoyed. I definitely enjoyed the first one and the animated film. You had the cool
Yeah,
fight with
yeah.
Batman and the Shredder.
Yeah, no, it stays true to the concept. Like I said, it's Bane, and I can't remember who the turtle. I think Bebop and Rocksteady are part of that too. And the second one, but it's cool. It's a Donatello. It's a very Donatello-esque story, and it's really really well done.
Yeah.
But the third one is like it was like they took DC's like coolest concept and they made like slightly overused. Like Crisis on Infinite Earths has been done to. I don't ever want to see a book with the word crisis on it ever again.
They
Whereas
do it
one,
almost every year, right? Now they do
yeah,
some crisis something.
yeah, there's Dark Crisis right now, and I'm just like, no,
Yeah.
I don't.
Infinite Crisis, Crisis of Earth, Dark Crisis, Final Crisis.
Yeah. I'm done. Like,
I think Final Crisis.
yeah,
They had one
I'm
called
just.
Final Crisis like 10 years ago, and that was supposed to be the Final Crisis.
They lied to us.
They did, because I think the next year they did something called Something Else Crisis
Yeah. So
or
yeah,
Infinite Something Else.
yeah. So it's just one of those like you listen to it and you just kind of cry a little bit on the inside because like no, just stop. But they do a nice, cool homage to Crisis on Infinite Earth in that, and it doesn't feel bad at all. It feels
Yeah.
very, very fun, and that's what a crossover's supposed to be. So yeah, but that's the thing. Like you can do that with Batman, right? Superman, I actually think Superman can be damn cool. But the thing is, And I realized what the problem is. And ironically, I it came out of all things, right? Figuring out why, like monster baby faces in wrestling are really hard to do, right?
Yes.
They're really, really hard to do. And the reason why is the same reason why Superman's hard to do. It's really hard to have sympathy for Superman.
Yep.
It's really, really fucking hard, right?
Yeah.
Because you got all the powers in the world. You have a good life. You have a great gal. You got everything, it seems like.
He doesn't have to eat, and he doesn't even need money.
Yeah. So, I mean,
And he
it's
has a
kind
giant castle.
of, yeah. So, I mean, so you
And he
think,
can do anything. Superman
yeah,
can do anything. He's a genius. He's super strong. He has laser vision, X-ray vision.
right. So here's the thing, right? So why would you have any sympathy for him? But you can still do,
Yeah.
but you can still do it. You can actually create sympathy for Superman, but you can't. So the story with Superman is this is it's same like the monster babyface in wrestling. You don't want to see them do a 20-minute match. You want to see them get their hands on the guy and kill him.
Yeah.
Right? That's what you want to see. You don't want to see. That's what you want to see. But the way you get to that point, though, is you have to create sympathy for that character outside the ring. Superman's same thing. You have to create sympathy for him outside the battle or the opponent. You have to find a way
Yeah.
to make Superman sympathetic. Because if you do make Superman sympathetic, story works. Doesn't matter
Yeah.
what it is, story works. If you can't make Superman sympathetic, he sucks. That's what it comes down to. The only other way you can go with Superman is you can have fun. You can have
Yeah.
Jimmy Olsen become a monster, right?
Yeah.
Every other
Giant
way.
turtle or whatever the hell he's going to
Yeah,
become.
yeah,
This
yeah, 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 yeah. You can do
Turtle
the
boy.
bottled. You can do the bottled city of Kandar. You can
Yep.
just have Superman do silly shit.
Wacky stuff.
You're out right. That's the other way to go with Superman. So you had two options.
And
Make
sometimes
him
it
go
works. If you read Alan Moore's Supreme, he did all that wacky stuff and made it serious. Have you seen Alan Moore's Supreme run?
No, Alan Moore Supreme is fantastic. It's
Yeah, but he
underrated.
does all that stuff. He does the Bottle City, and he does,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
the.
no, he does all that stuff. But again, he stole it from the Silver Age Superman. Silver Age Superman.
Yeah.
So that's all the Silver Age Superman is.
But he
It's
did put
Superman.
that little Alan Moore twist to it, and it still worked.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you can still make it work.
Well, yeah, and Alan Moore did write the last Silver Age Superman story. Whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow is
Yeah.
the last Silver Age Superman story, and it's damn good. And it's like you don't. It works, but there's the only two ways you can go with it. But because it's really hard to create sympathy for him. But if you can do it, you can tell a really good serious Superman story.
Yeah.
Right. Or just have fun with. He's a silly concept. Be silly with him, right? There's no other way to work him. Batman, you can be silly. You can it's easy to build sympathy.
He's more versatile.
Yeah. You can do a lot more with Batman, right? But that's the thing, right? Like, and again, monster babyface in wrestling, you have to create sympathy somehow, but you're never going to get that sympathy in the ring. Okay, like right now, the big monster babyface in wrestling is Wardlow. You're never going to have sympathy for him in the ring. He is going to kill everybody he faces. That's what he should do. Except for a very small handful of people. That's what Wardlow should do. He should just kill people. Right? Because that works. See, but
I think The Undertaker worked. They did it with The Undertaker back in the 90s when he was a good guy for a little bit.
Well, The Undertaker is... He didn't have necessarily. He was this other
during the Kane storyline.
The Kane storyline, you had some,
and they had the whole thing where Paul Bearer called his mother a prostitute, and he revealed that he slept with the Undertaker's mother, and everyone was like, "Oh, he's talking shit about the Undertaker's mom."
I was more. Okay, so the Undertaker. So the thing about the Undertaker was,
and he was like, "I won't fight my brother because we're brothers."
Well, that one was better. Like that was a better one.
I could see that all one storyline because that was building up to that. Paul Bearer had Kane.
But the Undertaker Kane storyline, you wanted him to fight him, but you understood why you didn't want to fight him.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to fight Kane. He's like, I don't want to fight him. He's my brother. I didn't mean to set him on fire or whatever the retcon was, or maybe he set himself on fire. I don't know.
But the thing of it, but the Undertaker, here's why he worked. Because he was the Spectre. right?
Yeah.
In comics, he wasn't really a human being, more like a
He's a force of
personification.
nature.
Yeah, that's what he was. And he was a force of nature you wanted to, because he was so good at in terrorizing whoever he was terrorizing. People just started cheering him. So they just all
Yeah.
they did with him was, instead of beating up the good guys, he was beating up the bad guys.
He's
And
the
so
bad guys. Yeah. He's
right.
like
So
Godzilla in a way, where Godzilla's kind of like the force of nature. He shows up.
yeah,
He's not really good or bad, but if he's fighting a bad guy, we root for him.
well, yeah, because again, you just know, like, you know what you're gonna get. It's same with So you go back in the day, like Demolition, they weren't really good guys.
Yeah.
They weren't really people, but again, they were a concept. There were these two guys. The moment you heard the music was going to play, you just knew they were going to beat up somebody, right? That's it, and that's what you paid to see, right?
Yeah.
And the Undertaker was the same way. It's different, but they weren't like, Undertaker was never really a baby face in the traditional sense,
That's
right?
true. He was always not as the Undertaker. Maybe in the biker for a little bit, but never as.
Yeah, but even Biker Guy wasn't really a baby face either. He was again.
For that little era where that's kind of how baby faces were, because he had Stone Cold, The Rock.
Stone
No one
Cold.
was really a
Stone
traditional.
Cold. Okay, so here's the thing. I don't think Stone Cold was a babyface either. I think he was an anti-hero. He was a cool
He's an
anti-hero.
anti-hero.
He was an anti-hero. The Rock was just so damn funny. People just rooted for. The closest to an actual babyface in that era was Mankind.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Okay, he was the closest thing to a babyface. He'd been through a lot. He'd suffered, like you could definitely sympathize with him about all the shit he went through, and he's really good at that. But at the end of the day, he's a dude chasing his dream. The Rock was this larger in life, like you knew he was kind of destined for great things. Steve Austin was an anti-hero. Undertaker was a force of nature. Mankind was just a really tough son of a bitch that could take a beating and keep going. He was closer to Rocky. Like, he was closer to, like, if you're talking like a baby face, that was Mick Foley. That would be Mick Foley.
For that era, definitely, that's true. He's like Rocky, where he doesn't back down. He's fighting for integrity, what he believes in, his family, all this good guy stuff that wrestlers fought for back in the 80s. But you didn't really see much in the early 2000s, late 90s, the Attitude Era, where it was more like being a badass. And
if you're looking at like a good guy or a baby face, as we're talking about, like today, the best one's probably Hangman Adam Page. I don't think WWE actually has a baby face. The closest they got is Cody, but Hangman Adam Page is probably the best baby face right now. And they have baby faces, like in like they have people you can sympathize with. You understand where they're coming from. You get their motivations. And we're talking about wrestling as theater here, folks, because wrestling is theater at the end of the day. It's
theater in the round, they used to call it.
Yeah.
Where you work all sides of the
exactly. So again, sympathetic characters, sympathetic people. Now, it doesn't mean they're perfect, but you could, like, some people just naturally feel like I look at a guy like Eddie Kingston and I listen to him talk. Like, he's he's no saint by any stretch of the imagination, but you get where he's coming from, and he feels very real. So people buy him. Great babyface. Also probably will win the title at some point. Right. Right. That's the thing. Like, a real that's the thing. Like, those are people you like. WWE doesn't really, like, they haven't done baby faces in a long time. Well,
no.
Right. So they don't know how. And then you can tell, again, Steve Austin's a great anti-hero. Anti-heroes can become very compelling. Austin has noble qualities to him. He won't back down. He'll fight anybody. And he's not afraid to move forward to fight anybody. But that guy I wouldn't trust with anything, because he'd beat your ass. He'd beat your ass and take your money just as much as anybody else's, right?
Yeah, well, that's what he was saying was DTA.
So don't trust anybody. Don't trust anybody. He was a like
thing when he first came out.
He stole from Bad News Brown. That's the thing. Like, Bad News Brown was the original DTA guy, right? But he was a heel. Like, that guy was a heel. But I mean, that's the But that's the thing. That's what makes a compelling. That's what makes a compelling. When we're talking about a good guy or a good protagonist or someone you can root behind, you have to you have to have an area where you can relate to them in some way or another. Now, what Austin had relatable qualities for sure, but I would argue the best babyface WWE's made in the last 25 years is probably Mick Foley, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Right? It's probably Mick Foley because again, he felt like the most human, and that's the dude that wears a leaded mask and beat people with a sock. So I mean, it's not like he didn't like. It's not done. And again, that's the thing. But if you look at comic books, you look at like superheroes now. Superman again, it's hard to have people. Superman's a legitimately good guy,
Yeah,
right? But I can't, like, it's really hard to have sympathy for him. Batman is not necessarily legitimately a good guy, but he's easier to have sympathy because you realize, I mean, any night he goes out there, that dude can die. Now,
yeah,
do
he
you
could
really?
die, his arm broke, he could get hurt,
Yeah,
you know?
he can get hurt. Like just even slipping. He can slip on a banana peel and get fucked. I mean, I mean,
Yeah.
right? That's the thing. Like it could happen.
He got
And
his back broken in a storyline. He gets injured all the time in the
yeah,
comics, you know?
yeah, exactly. So he's interesting. Like, yeah, you can do more interesting things with him, right?
Yeah.
Now,
And he
right?
has things to overcome. You see, the problem I always Jack Kirby talked about this too. This is why he made Darkseid, is you have to give the hero something to overcome. The
Yeah,
hero can't just show up and win. You have to give him something to overcome, and that's why Jack Kirby made Darkseid, because he felt like Superman was too powerful. So he said, "I'll just have him fight a god, basically, because Superman needs something to overcome. Your villain always needs something. I mean, your hero always needs something to overcome uh, to gain sympathy from the audience. If it comes too easy for the hero, you don't have any sympathy and you have no investment, and it's boring. You know, and I think
yeah.
that's kind of what happened to Superman. Is he's kind of boring, and you can't really invest in him, and you can't, like you said, you can't get sympathy from him because it comes to him too easy. It's not like a struggle. He has nothing to struggle against.
Yeah, and you can only take his powers away so many times. You can only do
Yeah,
so many, right? So now that does, but you can't. Again, you can make him interesting, right? You can make him interesting, but you have to really think about that, and that's harder to do than a lot of people realize. And
yeah. You know,
you know,
Christopher Reeves, when he played Superman, he played him very sympathetically. I think that's what got a lot of people like that original Superman movie, was his acting, was how he acted as Clark Kent. You kind of were like, you were kind of like on Clark Kent's side, you know?
well, I like Grant Morrison's approach to that because Grant Morrison kept the bumbling Clark Kent, but what I
Yeah,
really loved, what I really loved is the reason behind it. Because even as Clark Kent, he's saving people. Right? Often when you bump into somebody clumsily, it's like, why the fuck should you do that? And next panel, you'd see like a car just miss him or like a chandelier fall, and just like he would always be saving people, even as Clark. He didn't mind looking like an oaf. My favorite take on Clark, though, is actually. Do you remember the very old Superman show, live action show back in the 50s?
oh yeah, the George Reeve one.
Yeah, that's my favorite Clark. That's my favorite
Yeah,
Clark because he was in on the joke. That was the thing. I like it when Clark Kent is in on his own joke because I think it's much more fun when the hero doesn't can take himself less seriously
yeah,
and when George Reeve was able to do that, and that again. But Superman, you can only go one of two ways. You can either, but again, if you can find a way to create sympathy for him, he's actually really intriguing. But it's hard to do, and that's the thing. Like someone like that, it's really really hard to do. But if you can do it, because people do, like, seriously, in the right situation, they would want to see Superman kick somebody's ass. They really would.
yeah.
But they have to want it, and to get that, you need sympathy somewhere. You know what I mean? That's the thing, right? So I did not think with getting into this conversation with you, I'd be talking so much about Superman, but that's where we ended up.
Superman and Batman, everyone knows them, so they're a good touchstone. You know, you can go
Oh
all
yeah,
kinds of ways on that. They're a good analogy for different things. You know.
oh yeah. Well, that's just it. So here's where we're gonna go, and then I think we will wrap up soon. And this is this. Okay, so you have done a lot of. We talking about you professional wrestle. You do comics. What was your first love of the two?
Of the two. I
Of,
don't know. It almost seemed always to go hand in hand because I remember drawing comic books with Sergeant Slaughter in them because he was in the G.I. Joe comics and I had a G.I. Joe action figure. So I was always into this multimedia idea because I remember watching him in the Sergeant Slaughter as a cartoon character and sometimes he was on the Super Mario Brothers show. I don't know if you
yes, he
remember that.
was. Yeah, yes,
So
I
he's like this
yeah.
multimedia character. He actually influenced me a lot because I said, well, that's what I want to do. I want to be this guy who you can drop down in any medium, you know? You
Oh
could be,
yeah,
I could be in a cartoon, I could be in a comic book, I could be in a video game. And to me, I first saw Sergeant Slaughter though as a character in G.I. Joe,
yeah,
and in the comic book, not even in the cartoon. I had
yeah.
the toy and he had a little comic book with him. And, so they always kind of overlap because I knew he was a wrestler just knew somehow, I just knew he was a wrestler, but I first saw him in the comics and the cartoons. So it's always been an overlap. And I would collect, in my teens, there was like an Undertaker comic from Chaos, I think.
Oh wow.
I don't
Okay,
even
yeah.
remember that. Like Greg Capello, I think, drew it does Batman now, I think. Uh,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
at the time he did Spawn,
And,
but he was
and
doing the
Undertaker comic with Bo Smith. Yeah.
Undertaker comics, yeah, Bo Smith, yeah, and I remember collecting those, and so it was always an overlap to me because when I first saw wrestling, I remember thinking, oh, they're live action superheroes.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I think they're superheroes. They're cartoony. They're over the top. Or super villains. You get Doink the Clown. That's the Joker. You know. Uh, you
Kind
know,
of. Kind
kind
of.
of. But as an evil clown.
Oh,
Um,
Doink was ahead of his time. The original Doink was ahead of his time.
yeah, the original
Definitely.
Doink.
Yeah.
Because then there's later Doinks, but the original Doink, because this is 1990, I'm talking about. He had, the Undertaker, who's like almost like a Batman character when he's a good guy because he's just like this mysterious, or the Spectre, like you said, he's this mysterious
Force of Vengeance. That's what he
force,
is.
the Nightman, the Shadow. He's like the Shadow or Batman, He's more like the Shadow, where he's maybe supernatural.
Yes.
Um, and then you had Sting, who was basically when I started watching, he wasn't the Crow. Sting was like almost the All American.
Surfer Boy Sting. I remember
He
him.
was Surfer
Yes.
Boy Sting, and when I seen him live when he was a Surfer thing. I have the shirt still, and he was, I think, either NWA or WCW champion when I saw him. I can't remember though. Probably it was probably WCW, or maybe
Probably WCW because
it might have been the
but
NWA title in WCW because I think the NWA title was in WCW.
yes,
For
it
a while.
was for a while.
Yeah,
For a while, it was a big part of it. Yes.
because this is like 89, 90,
Yeah.
91.
Yeah.
So
This was right. Oh wow. So this out again. We're old folks. You can tell. I
yeah,
remember my favorite WCW stuff from that era was Terry Funk, Ric Flair. I love that shit. That shit
yeah.
was good.
What's funny about Ric Flair with me is when I was a kid, I thought he was really, really old because of his hair.
Yes. No, me too. Me did the same damn thing. Yeah.
And then when I saw him again as an adult, when I got back into it, or in my late teens, I was like, he's still alive? And then I looked up his age, because this was already like 20 years ago. So I looked up his age, and I was like, oh, shit, he's not that old. That's how old I thought he was when I was like 10.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
he had this white hair. I thought he was an old man.
Nope. Platinum blonde, man. That's what he was.
Yeah, he's
Right.
blonde. But when you're a little kid, you don't know that. You don't know.
No,
And he
but
had already been wrestling since the 70s, I think, right? At that point.
no, he wrestled for a very long time, and
Yeah, so it seemed like he was like 100 years old. Like, these guys are wrestling since the 70s.
oh yeah, totally. No, my favorite no, if you're talking, so basically for you, let's go with Sergeant Slaughter. So I like you, Sergeant Slaughter. First time I saw him was the GI Joe cartoon. That
Yeah.
was the first time I saw him. I didn't see him wrestle until he was in WWF the first time. Then I found his old shit, like his AWA stuff, because that's what he did mostly. And I watched his AWA stuff. I watched like the old territory stuff at the end of its run. And no, I mean, kudos to him. That guy had the voice, and GI Joe and Mattel paid him a lot of money to go on that show. So
Yeah.
I mean, I can't blame him. Right?
Yeah.
It's no, like so for you just always saw them as superheroes.
Yeah, I just thought it was the same thing. I didn't even put a difference in it because there were wrestling comic books on the characters. You know, remember I think Valiant put out WWF comics, and I think Marvel put out WCW comic books around that time,
Yeah.
and all the lucha guys. There's a bunch of lucha comics. I don't know if you're into lucha
Oh,
libre, but they all have
I,
comic books.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Mexico did the cross media stuff a long time
Yeah, they
before
have these
anybody.
really crazy comic books. And I used to get those when I was a kid because where I live is mostly Hispanic community, so those comic books were everywhere. And the wrestlers would be painted like Frank Franzetti characters, and they'd have these hot women around them and stuff.
Oh
And
yeah.
that stuff was all around me as a kid. So, and then Blue Demon, Blue Demon, he was kind of like Sergeant Slaughter first. He had a comic book, he had a doll, he had for action figures, but I think he had an action figure later. He had everything you could imagine. He had his own drink. In Mexico, I think he has his own beer, the original Blue Demon, and he's all over the place. And he had these movies. And he used to play him here. You probably seen him, like El Santo, but that's a different wrestler, El Santo. But Blue Demon was
El
in them.
Santo, I do know who El
El
Santo is.
Santo,
Yes.
El Santo, who was kind of the guy who was probably before Blue. I guess at the same time, but El Santo was the one that started doing movies first, and then they brought in Blue Demon as a character in those movies. But El Santo, you remember all the El Santo movies? They would play those all the time down here, where you
Well,
would see El
yeah.
Santo, who's basically a superhero. You wouldn't even know he was a wrestler. He was a guy. He wore the mask, the silver mask, and he'd fight vampires and all this weird stuff.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
I don't know if
No,
you've ever seen El Santo and versus the vampire women.
it's like, yeah, he's like, yes, I win no matter what. Right, what happens here, right? But no, it's like again. Also, I mean, Mexico viewed wrestling very differently. Lucha Libre is it's almost an art, like it's a really celebrated art form down there. So
Yeah, it's way different. It's a different culture.
Very different culture. And do you? So I'm going to ask this: when you do wrestle, have you gone to Mexico and wrestled there?
I have at one time, only once, and I don't remember where it was at because I don't remember great at geography. But I did wrestle one time, and it's a different culture. It's a different world, and they're more. It's so different. The fans, and in a good way. It's hard to them. It's like an honored thing.
Yes,
It's
it's
like
part of their
almost like a
culture.
religious thing to them. Where in
Yeah.
America, most of the fans are kind of anti-fans. They're kind of there to heckle you.
Well, again, we're cynical. Like
Yeah.
we're a cynical culture. We've been lied to so much. We just don't believe anything anymore. Mexican people, they got they have a little bit of that cynicism in them too. They're like, yeah, fuck you too. But
Yeah.
the difference is they've never lost their like again. They know, but it was always it was never belittled the same way. So so they've always been able to treat it with a level of respect.
Yeah. People forget that in America, pro wrestling was basically a joke.
Yeah.
It was not taken seriously. And even when when we were kids, we might remember it really nostalgically, but it wasn't taken seriously. It was kind of a joke. It was kind of something looked down on. Like if you were into pro wrestling, people thought something was wrong with you.
Yeah. Whereas
Yeah.
not so much anymore, but still, I mean, there's still a little bit. I mean, I would like again. I was very respectful of you in terms of the fact that what you do is choreographed. I'm not saying it's fake because I'm sure you've gotten some bumps and bruises that felt anything but right. So
Yeah.
right. But again, if I was a cynical asshole, I'd heckle you for that. And then you put me in a real move, and I would regret it very, very, very much, right? Because even a front face lock's deadly, like it really is. But the thing is, North America, as a general rule of thumb, I think Canada respects wrestling more than the States does, by and large. Just my opinion on that. But even so, we're cynical.
Yeah.
We are very cynical, and we have this tendency when again looking at it as a general rule of thumb. I think for us as a culture, we're so used to we don't want to get hurt, and because we don't want to get hurt, we distance ourselves from everything.
Yeah.
Consequently, learning how to connect is probably one of the hardest things as a North American we struggle with. Whereas other cultures, even though they have their own pile of bullshit, they all do, they don't have the same problem. So I think that's why wrestlers get heckled, because it's not just because why wrestlers get heckled. It's why politicians get heckled. It's why we are so cynical. That's why we have memes. It's why we do so much like shit. Because at the end of the day, a lot of us just don't want to get hurt. And this is just my
Yeah,
opinion. That's my
we have a
opinion.
we're sort of a disillusioned society because, and it's kind of what The Boys is about. Bringing it back to that, the show. It's just, we had this disillusionment with celebrity and politicians here in the United States
Oh yeah.
because mostly because of tabloids. Um, but we get disenfranchised really quickly because it's people we think are heroes maybe are really bad people, maybe creeps, or maybe they just let us down. They're not really what they're supposed to be. They're fake, you know.
Well. It's I here's my big thought. Maybe this is the big thought of the day here. It's not that they're necessarily fake. I think it's just how they're presented. We
Yeah,
lived we again we come from the 1950s. Leave It to Beaver. Then in the 1960s we had the Batman stuff, and then in the 70s things started to go to shit, and people got a little bit more cynical. The Reagan came around, and suddenly, things were kind of better again, but not really. And we have lived through these eras of things being taken away, a lot of false promises from our leaders. But on top of that, how we present, like even how Biden is presented today by the press, is still very much in line to what was done in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. It's not a real interpretation of the man. It's an image that's been projected, and in that image creates certain expectations. And when they aren't fulfilled, we become jaded, right?
yeah,
Right, and that's it. I don't necessarily. I as much as I am I call myself politically an atheist because I have no faith in any person or political system anywhere anymore, based on everything I've seen in this life. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I think the person I'm dealing with is a liar. But I think what I think is the expectations. I don't have any with I've learned the pandemic taught me don't be detached from all outcomes. Because if you're detached from all outcomes, you can't be rattled. You don't have the trapping of expectations or letting an idea of what things are trap you. That's what I've learned. So I don't necessarily look at people as lying things, but I do think systems and power, there are certain nature to the beast, and because of that nature, I don't I don't necessarily trust that even the people there, even with the best of intentions, are going to get the
yeah,
results they're hoping for. And I think that's a systemic problem, not just in the United States, but in Canada as well. And I don't, and until we as a people say enough and actually get off our asses and do something about it, I don't see that changing. So, but what has happened is we have this tendency to create these expectations based on these images. And
yeah,
when they don't come through, we have a tendency to. Now, there are certain politicians that if they told me the sky was blue, I'd look up. I'm not going to lie. There are a few. I would just look just to be sure because I don't trust them at all. But by and large, I've interviewed politicians even for the show. Most of them are good people that just want to serve. Most of them, right? So it's not by so I don't necessarily I'm not cynical towards a person unless I have really good reason to. They have to prove beyond a shadow of doubt that they're a lying sack of shit. Once they prove that to me, I don't doubt it, right? It's one of those things, but you got to prove that to me. So I'll let myself get heartbroken, but I won't. But until I get to, but once I let my heart get broken, it's like, okay, you're shit. I'm not dealing with you no more, and I will just cut you off. I don't break, but again, I don't have it. It's not about expectations for me. It's about just giving people the benefit of the doubt always. That's true. That's hard to do. That is very hard.
yeah,
To do. But again, I don't. I've tried my best to eliminate all expectations. because when I do that, that gives everybody a chance.
Yeah, well, I agree with all that, but I also think that people probably shouldn't always look to celebrities to be role models, because a lot of people just
Oh,
want to be
sure.
good at their job, not be
Oh,
role
yeah.
models,
Oh,
and they're just
yeah.
human beings. Everyone's flawed, everyone has problems, everyone
Oh,
screws up,
sure.
and we put all these people on pedestals, and we're like, how dare they not be heroes? And it's like, well, because they're just a regular person who maybe happen to be good at comedy, or happen to be good at wrestling, or happen to be good artists, and they're just normal human beings with normal
Oh, sure.
flaws, and they're just people. We're all just people, and we can't always expect everyone to be a Superman.
Well, even Superman's got problems, right? That's just, right. Again, it's hard to be sympathetic toward his problems.
Yeah.
He's got them. The thing is, the thing about the thing about celebrities, I think when we see success, we have a tendency to try to gravitate towards it, or have a certain mind. We have a tendency to gravitate towards it. And celebrities have been like celebrities, politicians, leaders, doctors, all those, like anybody with knowledge or credibility, or seems to have credibility, develops a following. It's
Yeah.
human nature. That is a big part of human nature. I think my own personal image, I always just try to be honest. I don't necessarily need you to agree with me. I don't need you to necessarily go with every single thing I say. What I am going to try to do with you, though, is I'm going to be straight with you. I'm not going to try to bullshit you. I'm not going to try to lie to you. I'm going to try to be as real as I possibly can, and I'm going to own it when I don't come through. And that's the best I can do. And beyond that,
best any of us can do, really.
yeah, and that's just me being honest. That's all I can do. That doesn't mean that I'm sure there are people somewhere that have this idea of who I am, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're right. Lord knows I'm a fuck up. I'm the first one to acknowledge that too, right? But at the end of the day, right? I understand why. We're all looking for answers. We're looking for things to believe in, especially in a world where everything seems to be bullshit, right? That's and that I think that's the paradox there. Because celebrity, by this as well as you craft an illusion in the ring. Now, I'm not saying the bumps. I'm not saying the pain.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You're telling
It's
a story.
storytelling. I want to tell everyone, wrestling is storytelling. Anyone who says otherwise is wrong.
Yeah, it's right. When you're the good guy, you're trying to win, and the bad guy is trying to stop you.
Yeah.
Now maybe the bad guy cheats. I don't know. Maybe the bad guy hits you with an illegal move behind the referee's back.
Yeah, I feel like the bad guys in wrestling usually care more about hurting you than winning. They're like, I want to hurt. It depends on the character.
Yeah,
but
well, okay, so
they don't care about fair play.
They don't care about fair play.
Yeah.
They don't care about fair play. I think if a bad guy in wrestling does not care about winning, they're fucked. They're not good.
That's not what I meant, though. I mean, like, they don't care about like winning clean or how they look. They just care about the end result.
Yeah.
They're
That's
like,
it.
which I think is why. I think what happened, we're going to get off track what we're talking about, but I think it's what happened in the 90s was people started to relate to that. Like, you started going, yeah, I got to do what it takes. It doesn't matter if I do it the right way. It only matters the results.
Well,
so you got guys like Stone Cold who would go in there and he was basically a heel, but he was being presented as a face.
Well, it's okay. So a couple things.
Like the Punisher.
So the biggest change in wrestling storytelling, this is the biggest change, the role of the referee. Like one of the biggest things, like back in the 80s and 90s, closed fists were illegal.
Yeah, closed fists. Right? I think they're still technically illegal, but those
kind of. The ref again. So here's the thing, right?
Oh, you remember you weren't allowed on the ropes either.
Yeah, well, it depended. It depended on the territory. Some territories it depends on, but
in WCW early on that you were not allowed on the ropes at all.
No, but the thing is,
if I remember right.
Yeah. But the closed fist, I think, is the better example for this because I think this is I think the biggest difference. Bad guys get heat from the referee. That's why the referee's in the ring. That's why they get heat. It's what they do, but The referee's job is to be the a dumbass cop, for lack of a better word. That's his job. His job is to let the bad guy fool him. Now, can't be too obvious, or the ref really looks like a dumbass. You can't make him look too stupid. But you have to. The referee has to let you. If you're the evil clown,
Yeah.
He's not gonna watch you hit the guy with a punch. In fact, that's the best way. It's an easy way to generate heat. You hit the guy with the punch. The guy goes like this, gets really mad, about to punch you back, and the ref stops him. No, you can't throw a fist, and you can back up. You can look fearful. You can look like a cowardly shit, right?
Yeah. Well, your job. So I want to backtrack on that. When I said you don't care about winning, I mean in real life. Because when you go out there to present a story, it's acting.
No,
you know what I mean?
Okay.
So as an actor, you should know your goal isn't to win; it's to tell the story that's in the ring. And if you're the bad guy, it's kind of to make it depends on the situation. It's to make the face look good. You want to make the face look like a good guy and make yourself look like a son of a bitch.
So how do I put this? I
Because
want
the
to use
title-
that. I want to use this. I want to finish this example. Then we're going to get to real life. The thing is, what's happened between wrestling back in the day and now it's starting to come back a little bit. I'm seeing, especially in the indies, you guys tend to work smarter than the guys on television. I don't know why exactly, but this is the way it is. But the referees, the referee's authority was undermined so much that it was impossible for a heel to get heat. And if the heel can't get heat, then you can't get the good guy over. Whether you win or lose, right? It's about getting that good guy over.
I want to get the guy over, because he's the one the fans are there to see.
Yeah, exactly. That's your job. Now, the whole key is the referee. The whole key. The referee, people have a sense of fair play. They still do. Even though in the real world, let's talk real world for a second. I don't care how you do your job. All I care is that the job's done.
Yeah.
Right. That's the real world. But in competition, in the world, even in competition, even sports today, there are rules. Players have to play by the rules. And if a player breaks a rule, the ref punishes them. That's just how it works, right? There is that sense of competition when we're playing sports or athletics or even other competitions, that there's a sense of fair play. What wrestling does really well is when you're the heel, you're ultimately a cowardly chicken shit. Now, how you're a cowardly chicken shit is up to you.
Yeah.
But right. Jake Roberts did a story once. I think, and this is my favorite Jake Roberts. You know what? Here's the thing. I was always obedient to the referee. In fact, I made a point to go, yes, sir. I was super nice to the referee as a heel because I wanted to rub it in to the audience that I was being a suck up and a coward. And I wanted that because he was like, oh, that prick. Because he knew he was being a prick. It was an easy way. It's an easy, again, use the referee to create. Now, when the referee's back's turned, Jake's this angry, evil son of a bitch. But when the rest there, oh no, yes, sir. I'll do exactly what you want, sir. Absolutely. And I'll put some lipstick on as I kiss your ass, sir. But that's okay. Right? That was the feeling he conveyed. That's how you tell a story in a wrestling match.
Yeah.
Right? Still even to this day, that's how you, for all the moves have changed, the athleticism has changed for sure. But storytelling is, what kind of bullshit can I get away with this referee? So I can win.
That's what wrestling was kind of basically supposed to be. The bad guy, he cheats and he pushed the limits of what he can get away with, and the audience gets frustrated, but in a good way. Because oh, why didn't you see that, ref?
It's not even about why did you not see that, ref. You don't care. There comes a point you just want to see that good guy get his revenge, right?
Yeah.
And you play with that. And the referee, if he's really good, knows that line. And then eventually,
oh shit.
Something just happened, folks. I don't know what just happened. Hey, Jag, you're still there. What's up? How you been? And I hear no response. I'm going to go and give him another couple minutes. And if I don't hear anything, I guess I'll wrap the show up. But yes, that is how you tell a story in wrestling, folks. It's all about the referee. It's not about anything else. If you can get, if you're a bad guy, you want to have the referee in the palm of your hand. And if you're the good guy, you're going to go for it and you're going to get your revenge somewhere, or revenge or retribution or justice somewhere in the match. Whether you win or lose doesn't really matter, right? Whether you win or lose does not really matter. What really, really matters is, hold on a second here. I'm getting a message from Steve. No worries. All right. Looks like Topher Thomas here has had to disappear, which sucks. I hope he can come back. Give me a second here. I'm just getting some information here, so I can properly from. Okay, hold on a second here. He's trying. He's going to try to come back. We're going to try to keep this going, folks. We are going to try to have the last 20 minutes or so of this conversation and then call it a day. But if not, I'm going to put his links up so people can see him. Yeah. He's like, oh shit, that was the oh shit was, folks. He realized his device was out of power. It's like, oh shit. Just when it was getting it. But Topher is definitely an interesting dude, as you can see here. But it was definitely a lot of fun to have him, for sure. So, all right, let's see here.
I think I'm back.
You are back. You are. That's awesome, my friend.
I'm gonna move to the front of my woods, so the internet isn't.
Yeah.
That's why. I don't know. I never had problems till the other day with the internet, but all of a sudden I do.
It's you just blame me, dude. Just blame the Canadian, okay? It's all good.
So maybe it's too far of a distance for the signal. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll wrap up the real thing. I think here's the point. I think what's really cool about today, watching Pro Wrestling Today, and we'll talk about your comic and wrap up, because we have gone quite a while. I have enjoyed this, but we have gone quite a while. All right, and yeah, no, dude, no problem. Here's the thing. I think the thing is, there is a little bit of that audience realizing, yeah, I gotta do what it takes to survive, and we all understand that, all of us. But that's the thing about Steve Austin, is this. It wasn't that he did that. But he had a very real personality. He was standing up to a piece of shit boss.
Yeah, I was in that era. We no longer liked authority, so he was undermining authority.
Yeah, exactly. There was that, but also he never backed down. Say what you will about Steve. His program with Bret Hart was the thing about Steve. What made him babyface was, one, he was funny as hell. Like Steve Austin is very, very funny. Yeah, I know he's super funny, right? But the other part about have you met him? I'm just curious.
I have not met him, but if you watch his podcast or if you've seen him later when they had him turn heel, and he was like a kiss ass to Music Man. It was probably some of the funniest stuff.
Oh yeah, no, he was hilarious. But here's the thing: when he was at his best, when he was Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he was being the kick ass, he went for it like a good baby. Like he wrestled like a baby face, and since like he went for it, he just kept fighting. You had to kill him. And again, people could respect, they could respect who he was in the ring. Even though out of the ring, he was more of an anti-hero than, say, hero traditionally. Yeah. But what made him interesting is he had good and bad qualities. And you could understand, again, he was a guy. He was a guy that, it's like, I had enough of your bullshit. I ain't taking it no more. And I get to beat up my boss on television for money, which is a pretty sweet gig. Which is a pretty sweet gig when you get right down to it.
Everyone loved it back then because everyone wanted to beat up their boss. It was one of the best gimmicks. You know what else was smart about that gimmick? And I don't know why no one did it before. There was a couple of redneck gimmicks before, but he was like, they really played it up with him. Most people who watched wrestling back then were rednecks. So it made sense to have this redneck guy represent the company. You had the bionic.
Yeah. He very much felt like a working guy. That's what he felt like.
Yeah, and he was a working class hero. And he's beating up his boss. And I don't mean redneck derogatory because that's what they called him on the show. Was
Yeah.
was
So,
a I
but
know we're
yeah.
in so,
Yeah. Well, like you're a tough guy, but like I said, there's some people. It's like it's a lot of work. That's a lot of
but
work.
they did call him that on the show. He was called the Bionic Redneck.
Yes. Oh, no, he did that himself. He called himself openly, and it was cool
Yeah.
with it. But but like I said, that's the thing. Like,
Well, I think related to that, he was just a
oh
regular
no,
guy.
totally. No, I mean, look, the biggest stars had a little bit of heel in them. Even Hogan back in the day, I remember this one match he had with Harley Race on Saturday Night's Main Event. He broke every rule in the book in like the first like 5 minutes. It was like Jesse Ventura was great because he would call out people's bullshit all the time. It's like that referee's been counting an awful freaking long time. He's right. That match should have been over right there, but it didn't. But it was the kind of match that they decided to have back then. And Harley Race is also probably the toughest son of a bitch I've ever seen because he legit broke a legit steel table in half and got up and still fought Hogan for another 5-10 minutes. It was just like I'm not fucking with that guy in a million years. You know?
There's a lot of legit tough guys in wrestling. I mean, it's a performance, but there's guys that you wouldn't want to. You wouldn't
Oh
want to
no,
mess.
no. Even today, there are some like I look at a guy like Keith Lee. It's like no, it's like it's like right. Just nope. I don't really feel that. Even you like. Here's the thing. No, I'm not. But sure, like you deal with pain all the time, right? Right. I'm not saying you'd want to be punched by somebody, but you could take one because you're
Like time, so
yeah, exactly. You punch like I punch you, I'm gonna piss you off. You punch me, I'm probably going down. Right? I'm just like that, and I'm not maybe, but I'm just saying like chances are I'm probably losing that fight. Right? I'm probably losing that fight. Right? And that's not.
it's still a physical. I don't like a sport. I guess you say sport. It's still a physical activity. Most of these guys lift weights. Most of these guys train in real fighting as well.
Yo,
So
yeah.
I pick fights with them.
Well, that's the thing. Well, here's the thing. There are guys that know how to take care of themselves in there. Now,
Yeah,
again, they're putting on a performance. They're not trying. The reason why people like that go into pro wrestling is because one, it's the money, but two, if I am going to fight somebody, I don't want to have to really fight somebody every fucking day of the week. I
yeah.
can probably win, but I don't want to go through that every fucking time. Right? I want to be able to do this multiple times and get paid and preferably not really get hurt too badly in the process. That's why
Don't end
pro
up.
wrestling exists. Pardon?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. That's why it works. Now, that doesn't mean that doesn't. Again, and accidents happen in the ring too. It's not bad, as they say. Although I do think it's a misnomer because honestly, the toughest motherfucking people on this planet I've ever met do ballet. I'm not like no joke, no
I
joke.
he was a professional ballet dancer, and he in this big. I've lost some weight, but I was a little heavy. About 225. He lifted me with one hand over ballet.
Yeah.
He lifted me. They do the
Yeah.
they don't get enough credit because they're also doing an
Oh no.
activity.
I'd rather fight you than a ballet dancer. I'm just being honest. I'd rather fight. I would rather fight you.
They are underrated. A lot of those guys are real strong guys.
Well.
Especially-
I think seriously. These are, in my opinion, the three toughest sports. Here's mine. Rugby players, ballet, MMA. Those are the three toughest I think in the world. Right? That's just that's my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Right? And that's no knock to any boxer, pro wrestler, football player, hockey player. Hockey would be 4. Right on my list, right? Because just the sheer amount. Okay, rugby players are playing football without any pads. You're fucking crazy, and you're tough as nails, right? Right, and right. ballet dancers stay on their toes for hours at a time. I do not want to be kicked, but I've seen them, like I said, lift you over, guys like you over their head. I've seen them bend steel.
Yeah.
They're pure fucking muscle. I ain't dealing with that, right?
Hey, you mean these ballet dancers? We had, I had a friend. His name was Alexei. He was a ballet dancer in Russia from since he was like 8. They train him crazy. They
Yeah,
train crazy over there, and they're super strong. It's insane. The
yeah.
stuff they.
No, like an MMA fighter is the only thing that might scares me more than a ballerina, right? And anybody here that disagrees with me, seriously, watch them perform. Really watch them, and try to do even one thing they do. Good fucking luck.
I don't have an opinion because I haven't done all those things, but
Oh, I just think I just think the sheer amount of training, effort,
they got a lot
energy.
of all
Yeah,
three of them.
yeah, all three of those things. Like just again, I respect this one. And by the way, again, no knock to you or a boxer or anybody that does anything like that.
Yeah.
Dancing and ballet are close to the same thing, Jag. They're very, very close. Dancers, mad respect for them too. Right? Mad respect for them too.
We have people commenting. I see a little comment there.
Yeah. It would be a toss up between MM fighters and professional ballet dancers. Yeah.
This is gonna
No,
just cause the whole thing
no,
on the
no,
internet.
no, no, because again, when it comes to discipline, training, strength, George St. Pierre was a famous MMA fighter. He does ballet to train for MMA. Right?
Yeah,
He
was
legit
the
does.
football player in the 90s that did ballet, right? I forget who it was.
Oh yeah, no, because it helps with your footwork. It helps with your footwork, coordination, core strength. Crazy, right? Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not like seriously. I like. Yeah, no, it's true. Like it's like I have interviewed a few ballerinas on this show. Mad respect to all of them. They are tough people. I'm not, no joke, right? But I say that with utmost respect. No, it's just one of those situations where you can look at people athletically, and by the way, like it doesn't matter what discipline you are. Like the one thing all disciplines have in common, whether they're athletic, artistic, the work. It takes
yeah,
an incredible amount of dedication, skill, and discipline to do any of these things well.
definitely, and focus.
Yes.
I
Well,
guess
it's
that
not
falls.
quite the same thing. This is what she says, but watching a bunch of football players fail to do Zumba was interesting. It's like that's well, dance again. It's mad. It's mad. It's madness, right? But that's where we are, and
Which
you
was
know,
interesting. There's tough guys in any art form. There's tough artists.
oh
You
no,
know,
there's tough artists. Oh no,
Jack Kirby was
there's
one badass. He fought in the World War
I
II.
oh
He's
yeah,
getting,
no. Do you know the toughest actress I know is Gina Davis, world class archer. She's a world class archer on top of her acting,
yeah,
right?
crazy.
Like oh no, there are the truth. Okay, so doing this show, and this is the why I say this with the utmost respect to everybody on the show. It's amazing how many badasses I have interviewed. It's like, holy shit, how am I here? Like that's the honest truth. How am I here?
I try
But
to stay out of trouble.
hey, listen, I can dance. Oh yeah, oh no, absolutely. Different muscles. Different muscles, Jack. That's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah,
Even doing what Topher does as a pro wrestler, the weight training, the different things, the different bumps he takes, and I guess, for lack of a better term, stunt work. Is that an accurate description?
I would consider it stunt work. I would almost, I know I'll get in trouble for this, but I almost consider it a dance. But it's very painful. I
Oh
consider
no,
it
no,
using,
no. Oh no, it's definitely no. There's definitely a dancing aspect to it. I'm not going to
yeah,
say
physicality to tell a story. So in a way, it is similar to ballet because ballet is using dance to tell a story, while
yeah,
pro wrestling is using choreographed to tell a story.
yeah,
So they're
absolutely.
both storytelling through acrobatics, basically.
Oh yeah, no. Truthfully, Gina Davis is a world class archer. No joke, Jack. No joke. Right?
I've heard that.
Right.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Look it up.
So no. Yeah. She's a badass. I like someone I also personally love to interview, but like total badass. But ultimately, what it comes down to, and then we'll get to your comic here. It's the discipline to put in the work. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, like that's the you didn't get to where you were doing one match or drawing one picture or writing one story. You did it like you just it was a multitude of things that led you to where you are. And I think it's really cool that again, like it's awesome what you do. Like legitimately speaking, the fact that you're able to do as many different disciplines as you do. And I feel like we didn't do the comic book stuff enough justice this time. You gotta come back and we'll do a proper comic book justice.
Talking to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but we should talk about your book now before we wrap up because we again, I love having you, but we've gone quite a while, so we probably should call it a day soon. But let's talk about your book. Let's talk about your book.
I have a comic book coming out. It has a variety of artists on it, including Ali Garza is doing a variant cover. Dira Verma, who is an artist who worked on a lot of projects, including G.I. Joe and Iron Man, who passed away from COVID right at the beginning of COVID. We've been working on this book for about 4 years now, and it's had a lot of snags, and it's called American Alchemist. It was originally going to be called American Alchemy, but someone took that name during the COVID, but I came up with it first. Yes. But, they beat me.
Yeah,
they beat me.
It happens.
But the first issue is an anthology. It focuses mainly on my character, Erica America, who people say is similar to America Chavez, but we actually came out 2 years before. I started the comic book in 2006, about 2 years before America Chavez made her first appearance. It's a Native American, very similar to America Chavez, eerie actually, a Native American superheroine, and who gained her powers through alchemy. Her father was an alchemist who came to the United States. She's the lead character, and then the other stories, it's an anthology, but most of them focused around Native American mythology and Mesoamerican mythology and pro wrestling. One of the stories in it is actually a slice of life comic book about me wrestling. So
that's cool.
Yeah, we got a bunch of art.
I gotta ask, did you win in the comic?
In the comic book, let's see. We do in the issue. It's about when I debuted for that promotion, and I go through a rumble, so I get eliminated, and it breaks kayfabe a bit because it shows us talking about the match and talking about it afterwards and hanging out and stuff like that. So it's very I don't know what to say, like informative. Like you get to see the behind the scenes stuff in wrestling in the comic, and that segment has been a series and has been published by other publishers where I do these little slice of life comic books about pro wrestling, and they've been published by Integrity Comic Books, and I think a couple other ones, but I can't remember because all my stuff spread out through all these different publishers as well as my own independent publishing. But that one usually you get to see a lot of behind the scenes stuff about pro wrestling because you see it's real life. It's a slice of life book. So you see us planning matches. You see us how we come up with who wins and who loses and all that interesting behind the scene gossips. And you get a lot of if you're from the Bay Area, hasn't gotten into the serious parts of the comic book yet. Those will come in the later issues. But if you're from the Bay Area, you're going to get a lot of the, I don't want to say gossip, but a lot of the dirt of what's been going on.
Cool. That's cool. So basically, it sounds like it was your welcome into the business. It's kind of fun. That's a fun story to tell.
Yeah. So that segment is kind of like when I started that promotion, and and then we did another comic book. So I don't know if you know that I was stabbed while playing Pokemon.
Yes, yeah, I saw that. Like, I wasn't sure we were going to bring that up because again, it's just one of those things. I was going to let see where the conversation was going to go. We had a lot of, just for the record, folks, if you're listening, watching this, he gave me a lot of stuff we could have gone with. Right. I just figured shoot the shit with Topher and see where we go. But he gave me a lot back. And I think we had fun anyway. Right. So,
yeah.
So
we did a miniseries about me getting stabbed. Caposha did a miniseries about me being stabbed when it happened. And a lot of that it kind of ties into that story in this book. A lot of that shows me training. So you get to see how we train, how we, learn our profession and the stuff we do and the bumps and all that stuff. That's all talked about in there, so you get a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, sounds
It's
really
not
cool.
like we're breaking kayfabe in it. It's not like we're acting like wrestling's real in it. It's like in it, it is what it is, So you get to see a
Oh,
lot of. I don't think it's really been done, so it's being treated like
it's a bit,
realistic.
it's a little bit instructional. Sounds like. Do you have a
Yeah,
link?
I did. I don't have
Do
a
you have,
link
do you have-
right because that's the first. So that the little mini series is out of print, but the American Alchemist isn't out yet. But I will be running a Kickstarter for it, and the best way I would say to keep apprised of it would be just to follow me on Instagram as Perguidi the Clown.
okay. So you're gonna can you spell that?
Well, Perguidi is spelled Perguidi.
Guidi, the clown.
The Clown.
Okay, so this then. Did I get it?
That's right. That's probably the best way to
Woohoo!
get back to the book. So we're gonna be launching a Kickstarter in the next few months. I'm just waiting for a lot of artists to finish their to the book, and we got a lot of guys on it. Like I said, Ali Garza, Mark Beecham, Raymond Bermudez. I think that's how you say his name. A lot of guys work for DC. A lot of guys work for Marvel. A lot of guys that work for Lady Death. I'm a huge Lady Death. Well, my mom's a huge Lady Death fan, so we got a bunch of Lady Death artists on there.
That's awesome. So next, so how about this? When your book's ready, you come back. We'll talk about it in depth.
Yes, let's do that, and
Yeah.
I'll send you a piece when it's all put together, and maybe and a physical copy in print.
Okay, cool. That sounds really, really cool. So on that note, good sir, I think we have an interview here. What do you think?
I think this was really good.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Late now.
okay, you kind of went in and out there on the last part. So I'm gonna wrap this up before you disappear again. All right. So here's what I say, ladies and gentlemen. This is Topher Thomas, wrestler, artist extraordinaire, Renaissance man. You can definitely find him. Check out his Instagram as we speak. And tomorrow, I got JP Nellis coming back for another wonderful conversation. It's going to be a good one. I want to thank Topher for coming on to the show. And to everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night. And thank you, Jag. Nice to see you again. All right. So take care, all.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So we're going to end the stream.